Welcome everyone. It's June 19th, 2013, and we're having our every other Wednesday remote viewing practice discussion. Good group of people here tonight from all over the globe. We have newcomers and some regulars. Lynn Buchanan is with us, remote viewing trainer and owner of Problem Solutions Innovations. Lynn is donating his time and training expertise about controlled remote viewing and actually several methodologies of remote viewing in general. And he has spent many years training and worked for the Stargate unit for the United States Military Intelligence. We are recording this so that you can have it later on YouTube if you need to review, and others who couldn't be with us tonight can review it as well. And I'm just looking to see if there's anybody else in the entryway. And for those of you who haven't been here before, we get the little strobe thing as I switch over to my desktop, which makes life a little easier. Sometimes I don't have to upload everything, but I do need to bring my windows back up so I can see who's here. And there's a text area. There won't be enough mics. We can pass them around and share them. But let me bring up the chat area as well. All right. Now let's find that feedback. All right. This should be the one. Here we go. Your target tonight was a herd of deer. And this location is a residence in the backyard of a residence in a small town here in the United States. The family who lives in this residence provides the deer with food. Actually, there are lots of critters who love these folks because they're always putting out food for them, and they are friends. So this was from last winter, and there are piles of corn on the table, and the young ones have come to feed, and they're, as you can see, very playful. And so you can get a feel for the location. Back behind the tree line, there's been a park built in about 5 years ago. There's roads back there so people can drive up, a small parking lot. There are walking trails and I think possibly a bike path. There's a pond with a fountain, and it's hilly. There's like a ravine that goes down and then up just across the tree line there. You can almost see it. And behind the photographer, so to the photographer's back is to the actual residence. It's built up on a high hill with traffic down below and a quiet street, not interstate type traffic. And other residences are around, and it was built approximately 1920, and it really has a great ambiance there. Lots of people who come to visit, and family atmosphere, lots of love and happiness at that residence, and a lot of learning and artistic pursuits there as well, which I think some of you might have picked up on. I think you were more interested in that than possibly the deer. But the home, when you go to visit this home, I've been there, and it's really like a retreat. You would like to stay. There are rooms that are unique unto themselves and almost dedicated to a certain ambiance. And if you were in training, you would be able to tell when you walk through this home, as Lynn teaches us with the ambiance, when you go through a doorway, you'll notice a change. And it's the changes that you notice, not the same. And you'll almost have a feel when you go from room to room in this house. And like, again, the house is not the target, but the location is the target. So some of you may have picked up on that. So that would be it. And let me make the screen bigger so people can see it if they're doing homework later on. So Lynn, if you have anything that you'd like to chime in on at any time, I have shared everyone's sessions to a folder here on my desktop, except for Marco's probably is just plain on the desktop. I need to, sure, I said move it to the desktop. Of course not.
I think this is a good target. And when you enlarged it, I saw that this is actually in color.
Yeah. They are some pretty cute babies. Tell you what, I've seen them sometimes. All right, so let's see what kind of sessions we have to go through here. We have quite a few, actually. Let's see. Is Marco here? Yes, the middle of the night. We'll start with the folks from across the water. I don't want to put Pat on the spot because this is his first time. But it's not that we're putting you on the spot, that kind of gets a feel for what we do here. We just bring them up and go through them. Sometimes we have 50-page sessions and we can't go through them line by line, but we can kind of skim them. And if Lynn has input, he teaches us about different schools because we have people here who've taught themselves and people who have trained with others. And if it's CRV, type methodology, we'll jump in and talk about structure as we go through. But all right, Marco, if you want to, I'm going to take your mic mute off. Hi, are you there?
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hey.
Hello.
Glad I checked my email at the last second. I found your session.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. You can take the lead.
Let's see. I see you had a preview of coming attraction or AV of a black shiny. Is that what that reads?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Good set aside there, so it doesn't hijack your session. And I see you took some front loading, generic front loading for this. Target is the target, describe the target. So there's nothing that's been given away. And lots of gestalts. Have you been on sabbatical again? When's the last time you worked a session?
Yesterday.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just scrolling down through here. We've got lots of different gestalts, lots of different, and I didn't get a chance to read. I should have been paying attention to biologicals. It's outside and fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And moving fast, pulsating, round. Note, feels like there's something happening inside, possibly.
Yeah. High on page 2, I think about there, right there. Is that bushed?
Days, I thought.
No, I think I was passive building it, like burn or something.
Oh, burn. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Structure solid and complex. That picnic table is what? 6-sided or 8-sided? Get this stuff out of the way here. I think 6, but I can't swear to it. All right, starting to get some sketches breaking through. We've got, and I could enlarge this at 77%. Can you read it any better? It's a little fuzzy. Hard, solid, gate-like, metallic pattern, woody, old, trashed. Got glassy and modern. I'm just scrolling looking for stuff that I'm picking out of here, cherry picking a little bit. looking for AI perceptions and maybe the deer and some of the weather type stuff. I'll tell you, you've got a lot of stony, hard, solid. And I know this is a little concrete-ish. If there's concrete there, you can't see it. It's not in the feedback photo. Biological. Here we go. Moving around. Sorry, now maybe I need to make it a little smaller so it's more legible. Moving around. Talking, chatting, having a good time, educated. Getting a lot of glassy coming through. What does glassy mean to you?
I think I was describing the structure, the man-made.
Okay.
But yeah, looks like it.
Well, the residence does have windows.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to have to cover up the feedback here. Hopefully I didn't miss any good straight that. Something strange running in the, what's that say?
In the center or something.
Something strange running in the center. And it's in front of you and you say it's exciting, good AI. All right, and you've got one is a man-made, and up here and over here we have two with motion, control. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's biological, that was. Number 3.
Oh, over here is number 2? Okay, my bad.
Yes, that's the motion.
My bad. All right, so motion is controlled, pure, and more controlled, and you've got mechanical light. The biologicals are...
Well, you have some Estonian words.
Thank you, because I could not make those out at all.
Yeah.
What do those Estonian words say?
Jumping, something. I mean, activity as a word.
Well, believe it or not, those biologicals are jumping.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and you've got purpose, we've got building, entertainment, and research. Note, feels like something or someone is controlling the motion. Waffling, I am not the deer, so we can't ask them if they're controlling the motion, but...
Yeah.
And your summary, the elements of the target are man-made.
Land.
Land, thank you. Looks like bird. I could not get off bird. Natural, biological, motion, and space. And the man-made is glassy, big, stony, modern, structure, complex, varied.
I mean, it's like many layers, or
Okay. Okay. Like a picnic table with seats and a top?
Yeah, something like that.
Not to lead you, just trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
What the land is outdoors, outside?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Solid and grassy. I can't quite make out that second word. But...
Yeah, it's grassy.
And tree-like and dry. Biologicals many. Human life talking. There was at least one person there because they did take the picture. Having a good time. And motion is turn to look at, controlled by something. mechanical in nature,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there was a camera,
Mm-hmm.
and the space is outside and dry.
Yeah.
Well, at least I don't see any session hijacking by Black, Shiny, and Dogs. Very good. You've got it set aside over there, so at least
Yeah.
it didn't crop up in the middle and hijack your session.
No.
Yeah. I was going to say, nice job.
Well.
Well?
Well, yeah, I would. Well.
Yeah. Lynn?
Well, I think I was in some way at the target. It looks like that, but as usual, problems with stray cats and castle building.
And as usual, I will highly encourage you to take intermediate somehow as soon as possible, because I think your subconscious has been ready for a long time. I think it has a lot of perceptions that its basic structure is limiting you. But that's just my opinion, and I've had it for quite some time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Lynn, and any questions you want to ask about it, or trouble you had, things you liked, and Lynn always, has things he can offer up anytime.
I've been doing a little bit, putting work into the sessions and stuff, and so I get this kind of, like heaviness, almost like I'm really tired afterwards. Straight away, and when I'm just finishing doing the summary, I really get tired in my head. Like,
is that new for you?
Yeah. And also,
I get tired too.
Yeah. Also, I practice like quite many time commands, or yes, lately, and I get the same kind of when I have to move, to the future, and I get this really, but it goes over after some time.
I see a couple more stray cats there, Adventure and Solar Panel. I didn't have them on the screen, probably wasn't quite big enough that I could pick those up.
And I still feel that the vocabulary is limiting me in some ways, so I have to expand my vocabulary.
I see. With anytime, I know it's more work for you, but anytime you want to just view in a stone and do it, and just, I know that Lynn won't be able to help you with your session quite as much if you don't transcribe it, but if you think you'll have a better session, so you don't have to struggle with the translation, just go for it. And Lynn was he's gonna be kind of mad because he was taking his mic on and off, and he clicked himself out of WebEx. So he'll be back.
But I'm wondering about one thing that I really don't get so much, sound, or I never get sound. I just wonder why. That's.
Do you cue yourself with it?
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I could do that.
You could, or you do?
No, I don't do so much.
Okay. Yeah, you could. You could always move to the assigned. Mentally tap the target sound. Just pick a time, anytime in your session.
Yeah.
And you could do that.
So do you think I was?
Yeah.
Does it look like I was in target?
That it's gonna act up. It'll snap out of it in just a second.
Yeah.
You can give yourself a cue of mentally tap the target sound. And you can move to a various place and ask yourself, you know, what is going on. There we go. Waiting on my mouse.
Yeah, I will do that. I just want to ask one question.
Sure.
You know, about when I start the session, I write down the set aside.
Yeah.
And you know, I use the phrases. So do I have to use the phrases for every word? So in this session, I think I got like, what was it, black or shining? So must I go like for every word? I mean, for every word I have to set aside, or can I say take them as I go one way, or you know?
You have to do them one at a time. You have
one
to
at
do
a time.
each, yeah, one at a time, and address it one at a time. And after your session is over, you pick them back up because that's your real life. It's like if you know you have a call coming in, here he is. Hi, boss. We're just talking about set aside. And I was explaining, Marco, if you have a distraction, a potential distraction, you do have to set each one aside individually in present tense, not you're going to set them aside. For now, you are setting aside, worrying about them, because it's like a little, if you think you're going to have a phone call coming in, there's the back of your mind that's always listening for that phone call. Right now, you don't want to worry about the phone call. Your subconscious needs to be doing your session. So that's why you set them aside. But by the same token, you've made this agreement with your subconscious and conscious working together on this target. And so after your session, you go back to bottom and pick up your set aside. Because otherwise, why make the agreement if you're not going to, you know, set it aside during the session, but pick it back up after the session? You know, it's a trust issue. And Lynn's back, so if you wanted to say anything to him about the fact that you don't get sounds very often, Lynn, we talked about cueing yourself, mentally tap the target sound or move 50 feet above the target. What do you hear? And then the only thing is, I was going to come back to that, is if you have moved 50 feet away from above the target, you have moved away from the target. So you need to come back then, after you've done your exploring of trying to hear things, then you need to move to the assigned target and describe. And that, when you give yourself, for everybody who's here, because I know for the folks who have trained with Lynn and myself, I try to pass on best I can what I've learned. But for anybody coming after you, following your session, analyzing it, you need to document your move commands so we know where you are and what you're viewing and what those perceptions pertain to. And so anyway, Lynn, I'm sorry you kind of got kicked out there for a little bit. I'm not sure what happened. Hi. Oop, I tried to unmute you. Lynn?
He says he doesn't have a mic.
Oh, you don't have, oh, hang on. We just have lots of folks. Just a minute. Let me do a bit of, okay, now Lynn's got a mic. Getting a lot of feedback from somebody. All right. Marco, your mic is, I'm just looking to see who's squeaking. It's Lynn. He is evidently trying to talk. You're sounding like Donald Duck with a squeaker in your throat on top of your normal Donald Duck voice. That's interesting. Oh my. I'm sorry, I'm sure that's a little frustrating, especially since you registered and everything and you were here early. And I have no idea why it's doing that. So I think you should try dropping out and coming back in again. Oops. That was a first. Well, why are we, okay, Patrick, Pat's got his hand up. Yes, sir, go.
Okay, I just wanted to say, Lynn had a power outage, so he's basically rebooting his system to try and get back in. I think that's what the problem is.
You think?
Well, it's on the chat screen. He just had a power outage, trying to get back in without a mic.
Yep, gotcha. I had to scroll up to see that a little bit. It's right there at the top.
Okay, I'll shut up now.
Oh, well, no, thank you for keeping me straight. God knows I need it. Shut up now. You are too funny. All right, well, while we are waiting for him to come back, let me pull up another session so we can at least, oh, I'm back with no mic. Okay, you type that to me if you can choose all participants. And let me, I just gave you a mic, so if you want to try that again. And I saw, thanks to Pat, you had a power outage.
Hear me now?
Oh, perfectly.
Oh, you can? Okay, good.
Whew. Wow, that was certainly a first.
Yeah.
Okay, did you, before we,
you gotta love it.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next session, did you have anything that you wanted to talk to Marco about, or any pointers, or other? His only question was the fact that he doesn't get sounds very often, so he wants to work on that.
Yeah, what you do is you find somebody who will start giving you targets that are rich in sounds. And of course, you know, they will vary it all over the place, but it's still targets that will slowly help you get more sensitive to sounds and all. I'm always trying to help Marco learn slang and English slang. So happy Juneteenth, which I think is one of the United States' proudest days, or should be. It's the day that they basically ended slavery, gave people the right to vote, even though they were not white, Anglo-Saxon, and Protestant. And so I think it's a proud day. Anyway, so that's called Juneteenth, and it's just another slang word.
I never heard. I have no recall of ever hearing that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a Yankee, though. Yankees don't know anything.
Oh, you are in so much trouble. I know where you live. Of course, I know that you're from Texas, and of course, everybody who doesn't live in Texas wishes that they did, even though you've transplanted over to New Mexico.
You know, in Texas, geography is our easiest subject. You've got Texas and not Texas, and that's all anybody needs to know.
Lord have mercy. Getting deep in here now. All right. Well, we better take a look at another session. Let's see here.
I was here for most of the explanation you had for the set-asides, and that was a very good explanation.
Well, thank you. And I'm glad I swung back in and reminded everybody that after a move command, you need to come back to the assigned target. All right. Let's see. Do you have a line in here? Just so I catch all these folks who are up in the middle of the night. There's Janine. No avalanche. Okay. Well, let's just grab, let's see, Travis's. We'll just start going to the top. Two main decisions. Okay, is Travis in here? Mute. Let's get somebody who's present. All right, Pat. All right, here's Pat. Summary. Pat, this is first time being with us. I'm sorry, Pat. What have you done insofar as training or DVDs or trainers or totally self-taught?
Totally self-taught.
Okay. It just helps us if Lynn understands, he speaks all the methodologies, and for the rest of us, we just, try and pick up what we can. So, and as I said, anytime you want to speak right up or ask questions, we just go through it best we can. Here, 5 pages. And we've got your summary, an old man-made structure with cut stone blocks, partly underground. There's a dark portal or window, yellow sandstone color, browns and grays. And you've got your ideogram and coordinates. You've got AOLs of Stonehenge and Mosaic and Jungle. Different sizes of cut stone blocks and habitation. Seems to be human occupied. It feels old and eroded. And you're picking up on hot, semi-tropical. I'm not seeing any of that at the moment. Dusty and sand. When you touch it, when you smell it, you've got earthy and bitter. And you're tasting oranges.
That's the point which I have to take a break because it was just clearly.
Yeah.
Not the sort of thing you expect to find at the time. So just sort of leave that alone and come back to it.
So you took a 5-minute overdrive break?
Yeah, pretty much. So I'll come back to this gently because it seemed that I was kind of like getting the impression that what the target wasn't where it wanted to be. So I wasn't sure I was looking into or out of the target aperture. I didn't try moving around much. I just thought I'm either inside or outside. I can't tell.
Well, so, as you said, you've been doing quite a bit of ARV, so this might be a little more target exposure than what you've had for a while. So you hung with it.
Yeah, it didn't seem any point giving up. It's just you try and resolve what you can determine and see where it goes from there. You don't really want to give up. You just want to keep trying and just set aside what you've already had and see if there's anything fresh that comes in. Because it gets better. It's not a great start, but it does get a little bit better.
Well, I will run down through this, and then Lynn will probably have some ideas you can try. And you've got good on sharp shadows and brightly lit contrasting and one light source. And you do feel an interior view, but you can't tell if you're looking in or out. I understand that with windows. And you can hear chimes, a little bit discordant, not harmonic.
It didn't seem like any kind of music or anything that was done in order. It just seemed random, just like outdoor noises. But in a sense, it was very metallic. So the character of it wasn't quite. It didn't seem to have anything to do with the target. It might be inaccurate, but it was sort of like, what does this mean? You can't tell from a photograph what's happening in sound at a target. But you
from
still
the entire
record
location.
It's important you record the information though, because it might get confirmed later on. So you always record what you got. Here we go.
That's true. Yeah. Always put down everything right.
If you look through it, I get the impression of archaeological site, ancient site, and it's just sort of like, it's old, it's eroded, but it doesn't seem particularly famous. So I was setting aside these impressions of grandeur, of, landmark sites, just thinking, this isn't quite true. The jungle just felt so off, I had to write that there, I was just warm, tropical, hot, and just stopped there and just thought, no way. Keep going.
Your AV of whistle? I don't have any idea if these deer were whistling. but my dad was a deer hunter,
Right.
and they whistle.
Yeah, and it's an advanced impression of what the target will be. You write it down before the session begins, just to give. It's a set aside of anything preconceived about what a session will be, but it's recorded again. And I only recently started doing them maybe the last 6 months, just to say, going into the session, what you feel it is. And it's usually not far off. You know, it's ballpark.
And there is a railroad that runs nearby, so I mean, you might have picked up on a train whistle.
Possibly. Bird whistle, you know, it's the same deal. You can't really be sure it's there, but you can't exclude it either.
Right.
So, going down. There you go. I was getting the idea of a door. I can't tell if the target's in through the door or out through the door, but I just sort of like right down while I get in there. It sort of like felt like a tunnel complex. You go down a little bit, it's like an interior sketch map of side passages off. And
I don't know if the person who took the photo, you know, was standing in the doorway. Well, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's not the target photograph. You know, it's not ideal, but there is a portal not too far away from where the photo was. Fair enough. I think it's peacocking, where you fix on something part of the target and you just it floods everything, and it just takes your attention. But it got a bit better. The last picture was of a seat, or a chair, or a bed. It just felt like a resting place. And that was like the last visual I got. It was sort of like somehow bed or an armchair, resting place. It felt like there is some here for people to hang. But at that point, I just thought I'd call it a night. You know, I got some impressions. They didn't seem very accurate. It's very general. I didn't really get any overall shape of the target at all. Just some impressions of it. So I'd say pretty low contact. Certainly not good data, but not necessarily terrible data either. Not very good, but okay.
But these Wednesday nights when we're here, most of my focus is to just give everybody exposure to a location, sort of like going on a field trip.
Sure.
And I don't force you to look at anything in particular. I mean, it's nice if, yes, you described a deer. You're right, there could be things just outside the camera range that you might pick up on. But and we train from minute one towards applications.
Yeah.
And right now, we're still in the field trip stage. That's where we always are on Wednesday nights. But we would, as you got more proficient and get more practice, we would find things that we could retask you on based on your sight contact and the perceptions that you're getting. Lynn, you want to hop in here anytime?
Yeah, one of the things that I was noticing most is just the excellent identification of AOLs. That's one of the major things, one of the major hurdles for beginners, especially, is learning to identify an AOL, and this is fantastic. I mean, it's great. You had just said something that I wanted to address, and this ancient old brain here is just sort of cutting out on me. So, what did you just said to him right before you don't remember?
Oh, I'm hitting rewind.
It was something like Wednesday nights is about field trip night, and you generally aim towards applications. But you're not there yet. You know, Wednesday night isn't about application feedback. It's about general training feedback on a location.
I also remember she had said that you've been doing a lot of ARV. Is that right?
Oh, sure. Well,
okay.
I wouldn't say a lot. The last 3 months, I did 6 trials as a viewer, and I said, we need a general manager for the group. So I stepped in and started managing it.
Yeah.
In terms of setting up targets. So I'm not actually viewing ARV right now.
Okay.
But I have done some of that.
One caution about ARV is that in ARV, you are tasked to view the feedback picture. So you're tasked to view your feedback. That's so that the judge can judge which answer, which answer is correct. And
it's not a photograph. It's not an actual location. It's a picture.
Right. Yeah. But in controlled remote viewing or standard remote viewing, you're supposed to view the target. Now down here somewhere, you got that it was warm and so forth. And I am guessing, I don't know where this target is, but I'm guessing that right now it could be one of the, and this is an indicator that you may have viewed the target instead of your feedback. And if
right, real time rather than past time. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good for regular remote viewing. The general rule that we found, by just collecting data and data and data, is that you will tend, first of all, to view the target in present time.
Okay.
And if there's an attractor, a temporal attractor, you may be drawn off to that temporal attractor, and many times just the feedback photo will act as a temporal attractor. And
right.
And the photo was obviously taken in the wintertime, and it's now the summertime. And so that part would probably be an indicator to the analyst, if we had an analyst, that you were actually viewing the target itself and not the feedback picture. And that's something you always want to do. The reason is, like, you're working for the police, and all you know how to do is view your feedback. They're not going to have time to give you feedback. I mean, they'll promise you feedback right and left, but when it finally comes time, they have 40 more cases to work, and they're not going to give you feedback.
Well, there's also like legal obligations, like they have to keep confidentiality. It's respecting suspects' rights, so they may not be able to get feedback until there's an actual conviction in court. I mean, that's a consideration too. So,
yeah,
if you're working those sort of targets, you have to do it without feedback.
It's good to work ARV, but don't lose your CRV, your regular remote viewing skills.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a shame here because I miss the biologicals, is what I'm thinking. There's no deer there, no animals there, no eyes. You generally get eyes with biological targets. They're all missing from the session. And to be honest, they were missing from my impression. I just didn't get any biologicals from the target, but there could be any number of reasons for that. Displacement in time is one of them. There could be a lot of others. You sort of thing you get from feedback and reviewing, you get this information about what might be going on at the time of session.
Right.
You've got seems to be human occupied.
Yeah, habitation. It's not like sometimes I do a scale thing. We're trying to work out what size objects are, and I just thought the way this is laid out, it feels like this is people size, for passages for people. This is arranged on human scale as opposed to like if you're doing a micro target, you might be doing molecules or crystal arrangements in materials. So having a sense of scale is very important to that.
Yes, it is.
So it's something I try and estimate. How human occupied is the scale of it felt human. That's why I said mosaic. No, it's bigger scale than just a picture on a wall. It's definitely an artifact of some sort of man-made there.
Well, when she had said that, you had been doing ARV, and then I saw this climate is warm and so on, that to me was very impressive because it looks, I can't really tell, but it looks from that like you viewed the actual target. And you get a gold star for that one.
I don't know why, but thank you.
Well, mostly because you did quite a lot beyond normal ARV work. And I do think you have site contact, and like you said, you haven't been doing this for a little while, much. Lynn, when or Pat, maybe I should ask you first, how do you go about, when you say you didn't get anything biological, but you thought you got some human, stuff at the site, how do you cue yourself, or what, like, you have ideogram that you touch, or how do you cue yourself to get more information about a perception?
Okay. Well, at that point in the session, I had an impression of arranged pieces of stone, pretty much. Something that arranged edges. Is it a stone wall, or is it a micropicture done with arranged out of stones? And it's just sort of like a judgment call when you think, what's the scale here? Does it go this way, or does it go that way? And just the feeling was, this is not a microstructure, this is shape of people. So it was pretty much a gut feeling, but I had to ask myself the question, which way do I go on this? Which one feels right? And it's not just that moment you make the decision, you kind of monitor yourself afterwards to see, is this staying in character, or am I getting a falseness back from this new information I'm getting? So you have to ask yourself a question and see how it matches up to the data you get from that point on.
One thing I'm not like pushing CRV, but one thing we do is I could write on feedback, so that's probably bad form, but you can touch your ideogram at any time and come down and write perceptions, or you can write the perception down and put it in parentheses. It just cues anybody following you analyzing your session, like any one of those perceptions, you put it in parentheses and you touch it and you come down and write right underneath it. And that will be probing that particular perception for more information. I'm not sure how you do it.
It's like the micro question you ask, you put that in brackets to give that information, yeah? Okay.
And you'll probably see that a little more. Marco's session might have given you a hint of it. And we'll open up a few more here, and you'll get probably some more examples. Okay.
Just for completeness, for everybody, let me go ahead and give the whole 3 section of that rule.
Okay.
A viewer will tend to view present time if there's no temporal attractors, time attractors. If there is a time attractor, a temporal attractor, they will tend to be drawn to that time. And if there's more than one temporal attractor, they will tend to be drawn to the strongest, such as Pearl Harbor or 9/11. You give that as a target, but you give the day before the target, when everything's working fine, a viewer will almost always be drawn to those strong temporal attractors. And so, but in the absence of any strong temporal attractor, like this side here, a viewer will tend to view present time if they're viewing the target. And if they're viewing the feedback, they'll tend to just describe the feedback. And in operational work, viewing your feedback is almost useless. That's it. I'm finished.
Thank you very much, sir.
We're just all sitting here smiling and mentally clapping. Thank you. Okay, let's see. We'll just go down the line here. Ron. Here's Ron's session, and make sure he has a mic, since we do have more than 7 people here. Ron, are you there? Okay, good. Ron's one of my students, and he's been at this maybe 5 or 6 weeks. Has hasn't done all that many targets, and so he sent his session in, and I made some comments on it. Just kind of skimmed down through it. This one, he had kind of strayed just a little bit with his session numbering, like phase 1 and phase 2. So I had made some comments, or a comment here, that he was still in phase 1. He's still taking coordinates here and getting ideograms. And then had moved, I explained, each time you get a new ideogram, you start your IAD sequence over again with the A1 describing the ideogram and touching the ideogram one time and saying one word how it feels, such as hard. And so this would be, again, it is, what are we on, second or third ideogram? Third. And here's the third one. And I'm wrong, it's actually his fourth ideogram. But again, it should start with always with A1 because it goes with this ideogram. And you're probably getting more than one gestalt in there, but it's hard to sort that out when you haven't been doing all that many sessions yet. But anyway, moving right along, we're now into phase 2. He had written 3. We kind of worked on that in structure. And here's what we were talking about, Pat. He has gotten an ideogram from man-made and pulled it down, and now he's cueing that for perceptions. But he is still what we call winking about the site. And so even though he's touching the man-made gestalt and is getting perceptions about that, it's like driving in traffic. You're keeping your eye on the road and you put the gas pedal, but yet you know what's going on in the periphery, whether the kid on the bike over there is staying on the bike off your path and you're not going to hit him, and, you know, over on your left there's a side road coming in. So your periphery is always picking stuff up. So there's information coming in all over the site, and he's got some good perceptions here. Various colors, there's a banging sound, concrete-like, and there is concrete at the site. Musky smell, I like that. We have some dimensional starting to come in with tall, so that AI can be really subtle, or it can really hit you upside the head and know exactly where that is in front of you. We'll let Lynn, I think, review AI here in just a second. And I like bugs moving. Black dots and green. And a little sketch here, what looks like a bug. And Carnival Ride, I thought, was an unusual AOL or stray cat, considering that the shape of that picnic table, and windmill as well. In organic, we've got children, happy, warm, tired, hungry, black, and orange. And I've grown up around deer hunters. You know, I can't say for certain, but I have a feeling that those deer are fairly young. They're not fawns, but yearlings, do you think, Lynn?
Yeah, they look like it,
And I'm not seeing any horns, like for big bucks. Probably one around somewhere, but don't tell my brother.
They are brown and black.
They are. With a little orange tint, you know. If you've ever seen a deer hide, it looks reddish orange.
It is.
And we've got adults, muddy, wet, tired, sweaty, and salty. And an AOL of truck pulls. The land is open, wet, muddy, slimy, brown, rocks, grass, green, yellow. And I said that Ron had some sketches breaking into P2, and I think that, you know, he's probably got a lot of perceptions that were coming in so fast, probably didn't make it to the paper, I'm guessing. Lynn, do you have any comments about his AI? Because we're actually not going to see one declared.
It's looking, especially with this arrow to the right, like he is spatially relating to the target. And that's good. That generally means, there's an arrow up and up, that generally means that the viewer has had an AI and really not declared it. And so as an analyst, what you look for is somewhere down here there should be an emotion described. And if you don't do the formal AI, pretty soon that emotion is going to come out and get described. So
and
there you go, please.
Yeah, and I think he meant purpose there. I was going to ask him tonight if he meant to cue with purpose because his sketch is finished.
Probably so, yeah.
And that's why I thought maybe if you could give us a little bit of a review on, AI. Heaven knows that sometimes you can't find an AI to save you, but you've got sight contact.
Yeah, a lot of trainers tell you that an AI is a wham, slam, and just sort of knock you out of your chair. That's absolutely not true. An AI is sort of like if you've ever done virtual reality. What happens is you put the virtual reality glasses on and you see these little stick figures running around. And there comes a moment when all of a sudden you're not watching the scene, but you're in it. It's called buying into the reality. And what happens in stage 1 is you get the basic gestalts. Stage 2, you start probing around, poking the different parts of the site and everything else. And as you do, you're noticing all the different colors, the sounds, the smells, and everything else. And there comes a moment when you start seeing this site, seeing or sensing in some other way. It's not always seeing, but you start sensing this site is around you. Or in front of you, or your nose is flat up against it or something like that. And that's the moment when you have bought into this reality and you become a part of it. And when that happens, that's your AI. And that moment can't really be described because it's different for almost every site. But you learn that, you're seeing something off like this house on the hill here. You're seeing that off, but you realize that's kind of far away from me. Oh, now you have spatially related to the site because it's out there. It's related to you. And when that happens, that is the AI. The reason you write the AI down is because the AI will always be accompanied by an emotion of some kind. It can be a wild emotion like fear or terror or happiness or something, or it can be as subtle as, nah, so what? But you write that down because emotions will tend to really pollute your remote viewing, and you want to get rid of the emotion. And so you write down, it's in front of me. So what? Okay? But then you keep that spatial relationship, but you dump the emotion. And that's the whole purpose of the AI, is to dump that emotion that comes along with it. But the moment of the AI is when you spatially relate to the target in some way. You may not see the target, but I feel like it's behind me. Oh, I feel like there's something behind me. Ah, there's your AI. Okay, did that? Anybody have any questions on that?
I'm watching texting as well as mics coming off. Oh, I noticed carnival ride on your stray cat. Kind of, those deer are hopping all over the place. So, sort of would seem like maybe a circus or a carnival. But anyway, Ron, this is your session. So anything you'd like to ask about or discuss?
Could I say something personal to Ron first?
You sure can.
You had posted something on the CRV list, and I came back and said, would you move that over to the CRVers list? And you wrote back that you wouldn't post again. Please do post. We need people posting. And every time you post it, it incites other people to get involved, and we all learn something. So please do post again.
Oh, it was my mistake because I put it on the CRV. I want to put it on the CRV. It was my mistake. What I meant I would post again on the CRV.
Well, please do post again on the CRV list. If you have any questions on CRV, don't always save them for Teresa. If you have a question on CRV, post it on the CRV list, and it will bring that question up in 100 people's minds, and they'll see the answer to it, and it will help everybody. So please do post, okay?
What I was trying to say was I won't post that, something like that on the CRV. I post it on CRV, or I will just post on CRV.
I can barely hear you, but I think I heard what you said. Yeah, and you are a member of the CRVers list, right?
Yes. Oh,
good. Okay.
I just posted on the wrong list because I was trying to get to the group, and when I pulled up the group, apparently I could get the CRV, I got the CRV. So it was
automatic automatic email stuff.
Yeah. I didn't mean I wasn't ever going to post again because I posted last night.
Good.
On the
good deal.
book.
A good deal. Okay.
I made sure. Oh.
Yeah, I was just afraid I had offended you.
Oh no.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that. Okay, I'm sorry.
You two have shook hands as gentlemen, and we're good to go. Ron,
we will go out behind the barn and fight her.
I'd rather go out behind the barn and tell stories.
Bet.
Trying to tell some stories.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I could hear that. Ron was doing some viewing on his own with some of Ed Dame's methodology. So he came to hang out with us on Wednesday night and began to study CRV, already obtaining site contact and getting some pretty amazing and detailed sketches. I wanted to ask you about your phase 3 sketch here, Ron, if you could have any explanation after seeing that photo, like what might be where or what, because you've got several things going on here.
I really don't have any idea because when I do it, I don't try to imagine what it is. I just start going with what pops into my mind.
Good. That's what you're supposed to describe, not identify. Perfect.
That's right. Excellent. That's going to make you a good viewer in itself.
Yeah.
So after
considering,
I did all this, then I scan it and send it to you, and then I look at it and I go, "What the heck is this?" So I don't even know what it is. But like you said, I'm not supposed to know what it is. It's the person having us view it is supposed to know what it is.
That's right. At the end of every session, the viewer should be as ignorant of the target as he was at the beginning.
Well, I fit the bill pretty good. I'm pretty ignorant.
I tell you, I kept a stack of requests for transfer in my desk, and I would turn one in just about every week I was there. And then, they would come back with my feedback, and I would see all that stuff that I had no understanding of whatever had just made a difference in the government. And I thought, this has got to be a crazy job. And then the next day they'd give me something else. I wouldn't know what I was doing, so I'd put in a request for transfer again.
Those are some pretty big bugs, but anyway.
I have no idea what that is.
Lynn, I was going to ask you, we've got bugs moving. I mean, the deer really could have bugs, but do you think he was rubber banding or having, site orientation stuff?
Yeah, I think to say the deer have bugs, that's true, but it's also waffling. I think the moving here is the main thing. And notice bugs is a noun.
Yeah.
And those nouns will get you every time. But
Yeah.
these deer are moving in probably exactly the same way that bugs would scurry around back and forth, you know. And so the moving is a perfect descriptor, and moving bug-like. Okay, there's your weasel word there, which helps. Moving in a bug-like way would have been better than to say bugs. Anytime you use those nouns, man, they're going to get you.
Okay. Any last words or questions? Oh, and Janine, no, CRVers list is not Facebook. That's one of Lynn's two e-groups that his students have e-groups, and CRVers is for hobbies, and methodology questions go on the CRV list. I just have to look over and see that question.
The CRVers list is the CRV list is only for CRV related material, and that keeps it concentrated and in one place with no fluff, no Me Too's, no gossip or anything like that. And so for that, we have created the CRVers list, where you can discuss politics, religion, or your hobbies, or you're taking a trip and you want to find some remote viewers somewhere. You just put your trip itinerary and somebody will pop up and say, hey, you're going my way, why don't you stop by for coffee, and stuff like that. So the only reason we do that is to keep the CRV list and its archives really concentrated on CRV. That's the only reason we do that.
You're welcome. Okay, like I said, I just gave up and started going down the road since we had folks here. I see Marco opted to get some sleep right after we reviewed his sessions. So here is Janine, and she has been viewing, just so you guys all know, from home, self-taught, and it's probably been a little over a year now, and she just wanted to see how far she could go with it. And I'll show you how far she's gone, teaching herself. She did not have any AV going in. She's got a lot of good gestalts, life, land, natural, lots of ideograms and coordinates in phase 1. And here's what, Pat, I thought you might pick up on. Here's phase 1. Ron had his labeled, that she's getting her coordinates and then getting ideograms, and this is actually 2 ideograms here. She's got it marked with the line. And I'm sorry, Jason, you hadn't been here before tonight either, and I'm not sure totally how much you've had some exposure. But then she goes over and she is describing her first ideogram, and then she describes her second in her IAD sequence.
AAB?
Well, she's got them labeled 1 and A, yeah, and then the way they feel is here.
What does IAB stand for?
Oh, sorry. Gosh, nothing like being on the spot.
Oh, sorry about that. It's ideogram A, and A is the shape and the feel of the ideogram.
Right.
And then B is your wild guess as to what this ideogram is.
And I had a brain freeze going, okay, what does A stand for? And what does B stand for? And I was like almost back at work thinking nursing stuff. I'm thinking, okay, what does that stand for? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, for those who haven't had the training on it, the ideogram is a shape, but it also has a feeling, and you touch this thing or you retrace it, and at some points it'll feel smooth, at some points it'll feel rough, at some points it'll feel like your pen's going uphill or downhill, and so forth. And so in one, you describe both the shape and the feel. Then B, you say, oh, I think that's my ideogram for life or man-made or something like that. And what happens over a period of time is that your subconscious mind will learn to give you a specific shape and feel when it's trying to tell you there's a man-made. It'll give you another specific shape and feel for life, another one for natural, and so on. And so the ideogram, over a period of time, as you do it, your subconscious mind will start standardizing these things, and it gets to where you can almost just read them off the page. You know, you touch them and read them off the page, and you have just really high degree of faith in that ideogram, because that's your subconscious mind telling you exactly what's at the target.
Okay, I was seeing we had a lot of ideograms. So we started out, I was trying to figure out if she took a break. 6, 6, 13 at just before 4 in the morning. Ooh. And then we've got 3, 10, 13 at 3:15 a.m. Okay. You know, we analyst types, we're a little squirrely, like we notice these little things here. So those are some pretty big ideograms.
Pretty expressive.
Okay. That's what I'm thinking. She could make some money doing graphic art with that pretty shortly. Okay, moving into stage 2. Got some man-made this aerial high, and I was beginning to think she had an AI in here because she's getting stuff like aerial and high already. Monorail system. We've got life, multiple moving, aqua, white, down and up. There's an object that's large, aerial, man-made, and multi-sided. Land that's flat, curving, natural, and hilly. It's very hilly. With a flat, I mean, where this area is flat, but there's a huge hill on both sides. And let's see, flat, curving, natural, hilly, motion, quick, both object and life, fast. She took a break. And we've got high-pitched flying. There are airplanes in the area fairly regularly. And she is starting to have AOLs about that. She's setting them aside with questions, making notes with question marks. Let's see. Fine water.
Can I add a little something? I've noticed that several people have marked a column over there to the right called AOLs. The right side of the page is for any left brain stuff. So it's not just AOLs. And like if you have a note, you're going along here and all of a sudden something happens, or you feel something, or you get some off the wall type thought and all that, go over to the right side and put down a note and write down what had happened. What happens is that you are recording the way you think. And you save some of these sessions, well, you save all your sessions. And like 2 or 3 years from now, you go back and take one of your old sessions, you'll know exactly what your thinking processes were during that session. Also, You can see how your thinking processes have changed and grown over the year or years. And it's a very instructive thing. So don't just use that right-hand column for AOLs alone. It's anything that's left brain logical thinking, put it over there, any notes or anything like that. And it really helps you learn the remote viewing.
Teresa just had a dumb moment. These AOLs, like plane or birds with question marks, parasailing question marks, ski jumping question marks. And by the way, Janine, if you can leave a little space and always never have anything on the same line, always move down a little bit. But she's having these AOLs, and remember those deer are out there jumping around? Then we get floating, zigzagging, tumbling, extreme terrain, vertical, horizontal, aerial, multifaceted, and her AI is breathless. And we had a little chat about AIs a few minutes ago, so I'm watching to see if you type anything in. And then she's got light an asteroid belt. And dark resembles large rocks tumbling through space, close together. They're light colored, 3D, multifaceted. She took a break, and she says over here in the text, my ideograms were driving my AOL, changed a lot at step 3. And then she's got snow. She just typed in snow. It looks like someone's personal residence. And she's got, I'll let Lynn address drawing an X through your sketch here in a minute. And we've got a bedroom with a question mark, which is a noun. Wood plank paneling, desk, computer, windows looking out. There are 2 females. One's older, one's younger. They're linking arms, and they have windows. There's long, narrow room and lots of light. And some sort of kick dance in a circle in place. And there's a tile floor that looks pale. And she's frowning, says, this doesn't look like a target. And that's her summary.
I would have a question there
Uh-huh.
of her. How would you personally score this 2 women turning around, looking out, one older, one younger, and so on? How would you score that? What score would you give to those perceptions?
She's been hanging out with us quite a while now, but she's not one of our students insofar as I'm not sure, if she's going to understand it. See, she doesn't know how to score. She's just learned from off the net, so you're going to have to explain that.
Okay, then let's say that in scoring, you go into each perception and you say, that's right, that's wrong, or I can't feedback. So you give it yes, no, or question mark. A lot of people would go into this and say, oh, those are deer out there, and, so I don't know if there are 2 women in there looking out a window or not, so I must be wrong. No, you can't feed back. And so you put a question mark. Somebody had to be taking this picture, right? And so you would give those question marks. And at the end, you throw out all your question marks because you can't score them. And then you add up your yeses and your nos, and you find out, of the information that we can feed back on, I got a certain percentage right. And that's how these things are scored like this. But later, don't worry about that now, but after you get into remote viewing pretty thoroughly, you'll want to start databasing what you get right and what you get wrong, because you'll say, hey, 99% of the time when I say there's a color, it's there. 3% of the time when I say there's a shape, it's not there, or it is there. And so you want to know what you're good at and what you're bad at. But right now, just learn to do the remote viewing. But yeah, a lot of people, when they say, oh, that's not in the picture, you're not viewing the picture, you're viewing the target. And so you can't feedback on that. You just give it a question mark. One of the biggest problems with viewers is that when they score their session, they are so hard on themselves that they just, it's like they're almost trying to make themselves fail. Anyway, I'll shut up on that. I didn't know that you weren't scoring your sessions yet. Sorry about that.
No, no problem. It was a good teaching point because I always like to explain it also as, you know, if you beat yourself up or if you waffle and you count things that you shouldn't be, you're just lying to your subconscious. But
right, you're not giving it any respect.
Yeah, but there are some things that might be there. You can't prove that they're there, but if there's a seagull found at a beach target, it might be there even though it's not in your picture. It gives your subconscious some respect without giving it negative feedback or lying to it. You know, if you say, oh, there's always seagulls at a seashore, well, not always. Commonly, yeah. But, you know, you're not totally beating yourself up with negative feedback and you're not lying to yourself either. It might be there. You don't get to count it, but it's not like you're like punishing yourself or lying to yourself.
And, you know, if you mark it wrong just because it's not in the feedback picture, you weren't supposed to go to the feedback picture. You're supposed to go to the target. So if you count it wrong because it's not in the picture, you have just punished your own subconscious. And what you're doing is you're teaching your subconscious to only give you what's in the picture, and you don't want to do that.
So her summary, I thought, was very comprehensive. She's got first impressions consisted of element of objects, motion, natural, land, man-made, and life. It seems that the objects were aerial in nature, multifaceted, pale in color against either space or a darker background. They appear to be moving. I had the AOL of asteroids traveling in space. They look natural like large rocks. I also have perceptions of a man-made, which appeared to be a personal residence. There was a bedroom with horizontal wood plank or paneled walls and a bed with a headboard to the left. I can't verify that. I had impression, I have been at this home, but I can't verify that. Had impression that there was something either across from the bed or in a corner. Couldn't get a visual on it. Long rectangular room, very light and bright, with a white or light tiling on the floor and a lot of tall vertical windows all along one side. Perceived a couple of people in the room and thought they were women, one older and one younger. And they had linked arms and appeared to be doing an impromptu dance involving kicking their feet in sync while pivoting in a circle, and a happy face. And in the past, whenever I have either missed the target or my subconscious was not interested in that target, it seems that it goes looking for a nearby object, often a residence of interest. As I suspect that this was not the target and my impression seemed at odds, I ended the session. And I know that my ideograms seem to be taking over the paper. I will work at reining them in. And I thought that, she had some really good personal insights here about, she's been studying her own sessions and what she does. And she knows, when she's on or off for the most part, even though it's difficult sometimes to score yourself and see the target in a universal kind of way. But I thought the fact that she's picked up on whether or not she's attracted to something and it pulls her off target. And Lynn was talking about attractors just a few minutes ago.
This is excellent, and these are great insights. And what you've got to remember, in fact, it's one of our sayings that we give to everyone, is that the purpose of a practice target is not to learn about the target. The purpose of a practice target is to learn about yourself. how you and your subconscious mind deal with each other, how you communicate, and all that. And if you learn that, and you learn to communicate with your subconscious, hey, don't worry about the scores. They're going to get high. They're going to get very high because you're going to be a great viewer. These are good insights.
Oh, I apologize. I took a drink of water and it went down the wrong pipe. Lynn, did you? Oh my gosh. Sorry. I may have to go out and come back in, but I don't think it's going to help because now I've coughed myself hoarse. I was wondering if you had anything to say about the deer looking like large asteroids or rocks.
Well, yeah, here's the movement again, the same movement. Picture the asteroid belt and the asteroids in the belt. Bugs crawling around, okay? It's the same movement, bumping around together and sort of going in all different directions, but still going together as a single cloud or something. The minute I saw the asteroid belt reference, I knew. I mean, that's a really perfect analogy of the movement of the herd. And one of the things that happens, and this, everybody wants to be exactly perfect and give totally pristine descriptors and all. But the fact is that your subconscious mind thinks in analogies and examples and all that. And many times it will give you an analogy which on the surface will be absolutely wrong. But when you take the gestalt of the analogy, it is a perfect description of the target or something at the target. So watch out for these analogies. And many times they'll come with just some off-the-wall noun. Like, I mean, here you are with women looking out a window and everything, and all of a sudden here's asteroid belt. That's basically your cue that your subconscious is giving you an analogy about some part of the target. And when things stand out like that, start looking for analogies because they'll almost always be there.
Okay, by the way, I would highly recommend Werther's Original Sugar-Free Cinnamon Apple Hard Candy. It's good for coughing spasms. Cinnamon, I think. But last week, or 2 weeks ago, Michelle had drawn what she knew to be a pump house that produced energy, and the target was actually a solar plant, which produced energy. And, Lynn was explaining that to us last week. And, oh, geez, Jed just got to know he just got company. And so I am sorry, Jed, we didn't get to your session. I didn't know that you were possibly going to have to leave. Wow, give me a high sign. Janine's asking, could I have been looking at the snow up close, like snowflakes?
Oh,
We
yeah.
have a point.
Yeah, with the flying around and all that, sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good pickup. Pat's got falling, swirling snow, possible. He just typed that in.
But even still, even if it was the snowflakes, that it's still an analogy, of asteroids, and the herd is moving in that way, bug-like, herd of crawling all over the place. But the snowflakes are also moving that way, so that may be a very common aspect of this whole target. Only the viewer would know for sure, but like I say, look for these analogies. They'll usually stand out as something kind of odd, but they'll be there.
And Janine says, thanks, not my best target. Again, sometimes, well, you're beating yourself up, which all viewers do, but sometimes we see things that maybe you don't. And we're not waffling, but we can see them in a different way. And again, sharing helps us all learn.
I don't know how many times in the military unit we would turn in sessions trusting our subconscious, but we would know that they were, excuse the term, absolute crap. And the customer would come in, take one look at some scribble that was on the page or some phrase that we had written down, and they would get all excited and scream, jump up and down, there's the answer, that's it, we've been looking for that. And they would leave just happy as they could be. And we would sit there thinking, what?
Look at these perceptions right here. Scatter sketch. I think you nailed it, Janine. You're looking at the snow, I bet. Resembles large rocks, tumbling through space close together, light-colored, 3D, and multifaceted.
Yeah, I think that probably does describe the snow better than the deer.
Yeah.
Like I say, the viewer is the only one who is there at the target, so they're the only ones who's really going to know.
Nice work. Let's grab Jed's session. Well, maybe I should ask Jed. Jed, is this a good time? Should I grab your session?
I heard about her mom.
Yeah.
Tracy said her mom had it in.
And then again. Maybe not. Let's see, Aveline's not here. Let's look at Michelle's. And Michelle, you know, she thinks that she may be having an off day. She's had a lot of personal stuff going on. And I've come to look at her sessions as, I hate to stereotype her, that's bad, but she is a very respectful person and will find something, and really reverent, and will find something worth respecting, I think, at every target that I've ever seen her work. She doesn't take anything lightly, doesn't always look at things in a superficial way. So whenever I look at her sessions, I try to look at them from an angle of also the history of the site and what might be going on in the area, because as we know, what is going on in this feedback picture right here might not be what is an attractor to the viewer, might not be the most important thing that ever happened to that site. So even though we don't like to lie to ourselves and waffle, I do like to look at her sessions and see if maybe she might have traveled in time or gotten pulled off just a little bit. Like Janine just pointed out, there's something going on a little over the way that she's more interested in. She's going to check it out. Sounds like Deborah Katz all over again, too. Okay, good phase one. And anytime you want to jump in, Michelle, go ahead. Okay, we've got Lactogestalt. This from a person who with 3 pages since she was done. Now she's moved along to, she is hanging in there. We've got energetic and motion. We've got biologicals, water, wet. Oh, I'm going to cough again. I'm sorry.
For everybody who hasn't noticed this before, notice that her A will describe the motion the line took, and then we'll give a feeling of some kind. Here, wet, over, down, under, feels solid, the one above it. And her subconscious mind is learning. When there's a dip, up, over, down, and it feels solid, that's your mind trying to tell you it's biologicals. And what happens is you teach your subconscious mind a physical language, And once you teach it that language, the details it can tell you about a target are just phenomenal.
It's a lot of pages with no deer and no snow.
Like I say, an analyst might find that to be a very good thing. I'm serious. There is not a temporal attractor here. I'm sure this is not the only time that deer have ever come up to this yard. In fact, it says, has the habit of feeding. And so this is not a single time event that's going to draw your mind. And so without a temporal attractor, you will tend to view the target present time. And the fact that you didn't have these deer or the snow could be an excellent example to the analyst that you're viewing the target and not your feedback. And if so, you get a gold star too.
Sorry. I'm laughing at myself right now. That's all. I'm enjoying myself tonight.
Of course, farm-like. Of course, then what you have to ask is, if this is present time, then how do these things apply?
Yeah, this was a strange session for me. Also because in my mind, before I started, I thought I was going to go with, the more intermediate level, with all the columns. And I just got lost in all these pages and I chickened out. I felt it. In session, I felt it. And so I had this kind of weight of disappointment on me. So it was a very strange session, but I was glad that I muddled through. And kind of like the nice gentleman, who was it, Patrick, when he talked about staying with it, regardless of, how you're feeling. And so this was a test for me in that regard, very much so.
Yeah, it's very common to see the feedback and say, man, if I'd stayed one more page, I would have gotten that. Well, whenever you're absolutely and totally ready to quit, just stay one more page and then quit. And then you'll see your feedback and you'll say, man, if I just stayed one more page, I would have gotten that.
Couldn't we have some music on?
I think our host is struggling with a
with her cinnamon.
Yeah.
I have a comment.
That stray cat up there, AOL, is that 3 perceptions or is that 1 or 2? Wife beater T-shirts?
Wife beater T-shirt sweaty.
Or is it 3? He's a wife beater and T-shirts.
You know, that's really good, Lynn.
I know. Is there such a thing as a wife beater T-shirt?
You know, I don't think there is. I think I wrote the word wife beater, and then I expounded, like, you know, like a T-shirt and it's sweaty. So, but that's good that you're bringing that out.
Yeah, a lot of times a pun will be made. Sure enough.
That's lovely. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That was pretty. Okay.
Lynn, can I make a comment?
Oh, is Ron's trying to say something?
Yes, I wanted to make a comment. I think it was 1 page back. You had down the, I think it was scraping and plowing. Nobody said anything about that.
Oh, gosh, Ron. Thank you.
See, it says scraping and plowing for snow.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I would not have noticed that, and I would not have thought of that. Been lost in there.
Is that digging right above it?
That's all I had to
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed this earlier. Didn't say anything. That it says that food is put out for them, but it doesn't look like there's any place there. I mean, would you just throw the food out on the snow, or would you put it somewhere where they could get to it, or I don't know how it would be done.
Well, it looks like they're all around those benches, so I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's food put out, and you know, I think they would have to be digging, and there's several impressions earlier of grassy, you know, digging down into the snow to get whatever grass is left or whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be a stickler or a conversation hijacker, but in the beginning she did say that corn was left on the table.
Oh, corn was left on the table? Okay, good. There's definitely a castle being built there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I just had same old attachment to my nouns, and I can see that clearly. Yeah.
Boy, those nouns will mess you over, and
yeah.
This
is sloppy.
I was doing a demo session for a Japanese television show not too long ago, and I got caught by noun, and I wrote it down in the wrong place, and I thought at the time, I am not going to get caught by that noun, and man, it was too late. It just, the rest of the session was just a total disaster. Those nouns will get you. And of course, you know, not our nation, but the Japanese nation, it was going to be on national TV. You know, that's it. That's when it happens.
I didn't realize that my mic wasn't on, so I've probably been sitting here talking to myself for 5 minutes.
And we enjoyed that very much too. Thank you.
All righty then.
We were afraid you were.
I got nothing.
We were still afraid you were
choking to death.
Something, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Grandma used to say choking or choking to death. But small specks of energy charged flakes. Well, I don't know if they're energy charged, but we've addressed that there was snowflakes. But I would like to point out that there are the drainage ditches and stuff just back over the hill here past these deer is a pond, and it was artificially created. I mean, there's a depression there, but there's a fountain there. And to do that, you have to have drainage pipes and, such as that. So we do have a few perceptions that could be counted. You can make fun of the dump trucks if you want to. You know, I'd just like to say that she could have been drawn to making the park. Who knows? Just saying. Otherwise, she's building a castle. You just
think. Do you happen to know how old that park is?
About 5 years.
That could be an attractor.
Score 1 for me.
Look on page 10. I'm standing in the low gully part. Almost sinking. Okay. If that's not an AI, if that's not the perfect AI, I don't know what would be. That is a beautiful example of an AI. Spatially relating to the target. I'm standing there. And then the next question is, how would that make you feel? I feel curious about what is here. Perfect, perfect, perfect AI.
Who's going to clap first?
No.
And Pat asking, typical deer behavior to dig for forage, and yes, it is. Under the snow. Having grown up in cornfields that after the farmers pick the corn and the stalks are still there, then they come along and they paw it, trying to get what little leftover kernels and ears might be there.
What kind of dirt wall does that say it is?
There are dirt and gravel roadways and roads.
Look down there
in
by
a circle.
Oh, sorry, where, what?
Over to the left, right by the arrow?
Yeah.
Is that rutted?
Yes. Rutted dirt walls and unstable.
Does rutted apply to a dirt wall? That's not a descriptor for a dirt wall, but it's a perfect descriptor of what deer do. You know, things like this can come out, but this is neat. This is very neat here.
And then, let's see, feels like a mining site excavating something from this area. When I try to see what, if anything, is in the dark turned earth, I keep seeing small, dark, glassy flakes that may not be seen from the naked eye. Big dump type trucks are lined up to take loads away, and they use special canopies to tie the load down. Trucks are they are going in all directions. This place feels like Northwest America agriculture and energy base. Target has access land, man-made motion, biological water space. Cleared and worked to extract something valuable from this land. The land was the story. Man-mades were machinery and large vehicles of this site. Man-made was doing something to the land that made it ready to be loaded and moved away. Other man-mades were temporary, offer space for controlling movement of a substance. Motion was about earth moving, loading and hauling. The motion was a steady stream of vehicles choreographed and spaced for maximum efficiency. Biologicals were all work-oriented. 3 types: people of the site that work the raw materials and prepare an area for loading, drivers and haulers from all over, and managers and engineers planning movements and direction dealing with this resource. Water was instrumented in causing the natural resource to be released. It loosened and separated the small bits to be measured and grouped accordingly. The space aspect has something to do with weather and the environment, and necessary evil is under attack for lacking long-range environmental annuity, health of Earth and humans in question in regard to this target. The woman is a deep thinker.
Can I bring up a point here?
Certainly.
That I'll bet every single bit of this is accurate to a specific time at the target. You would have to look at the history of the target to find out. And the minute you did, that would be your feedback. And so it would become an attractor. And you can create your own attractors when you're doing this. That's possible, but the way you describe this area with the part being made and the pipes being put in for the fountain and everything else, I'll bet you all of this is accurate to the site, but was a temporal attractor, and probably much more interesting than you know, deer walking around in snow eating corn or something.
Especially if you're an environmentalist type person.
Well, but,
yeah.
you know, as I am developing, I am concerned that this is quite elaborate for castle building, so, and it's quite strange for peacocking. So I'm thinking honestly that maybe someplace up high, I started buying into the idea of a mining site. To be quite honest, I think that was the imagery that was like coming. And so, you know, sorry to say, Teresa, I didn't make a church out of this target, but I think, yeah, well, okay, that's the good news. But but the bad news is, I believe that something hit me with the environment that caused me to, how do I say it? It's like a giant stray cat. I mean, it's
castle building,
yeah, but it's that's some fudgery, I'm telling you. Very interesting.
It's possible waffling, possible fudgery, but and that mining site probably is what drew you off.
Yes.
I would imagine that if it drew you off to a different time, that this would all be correct. But was that really your target? Excuse me, there's somebody at the door. I'm going to have to go answer it.
Okay.
Teresa?
Yo.
I love, you know, hearing everyone that's on tonight when they are talking about different things that pull them away. And I see you know, Janine's awareness, I appreciate that. And I thought, you know, by the way, her session was great. But I'm saying that, you know, catching ourselves in it, you know, real time when it's happening, that's just, I guess I'm just amazed at how ever-changing it is and how tricky that can be, being, you know, pulled off.
Mm-hmm. And that's some of the biggest lessons I learned with the sessions that I've done. And they say that you shouldn't feed into digging forever and ever because you're feeding into your session and giving it more importance. And I'm sorry, some of my most important lessons have been because I've refused to give up. It's like, why did I do that? And I learned why I did it.
Sorry, it was the Mormon missionaries.
I wondered about that. I had an advanced visual of that, actually. Was it really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It really was?
Yeah, they're coming in 3s now instead of 2.
Because that's exactly what I thought. It was a Mormon missionary.
What are you, one of them there psychics or what?
I try. I try. I even play one on TV. Not really. But, hey, I had an advanced visual the other day. I was going over manuals with our next student coming in. And I said, okay, if you were doing POCDs and set-asides in your admin section, you might be, it might be the phone, might be your dog, might be this, that, might be your son calling on the phone. And next thing I know, it's, can we wait just a minute? Because my son just called and he never calls. So, gee, score 2 for me in 1 week. Hot diggity.
Okay, so all I want to know is lottery numbers.
I wish. Okay, so Miss Michelle, I'm thinking that, I don't want to discuss her personal life, but she has had a lot going on lately. She has had intermediate coursework presented. She hasn't done an intermediate session yet. I'm wondering, even with basic, how would you think, Lynn, to keep her on target and more viewing what, not the feedback photo, but you know what I'm saying? How about move to assign target and describe frequently?
You could do that. That's always a good move command. Move back to the target. Even if you're describing the target, you still say move to the target and describe. And but one of the most useful things is to set aside nouns, and the way to do it is the most important thing. When you set aside a noun, that doesn't mean that noun is wrong. All it means is that it's a noun, okay? And you're not going to allow your subconscious, you're training your subconscious to give you information, and you're training your conscious not to jump to conclusions. And so things like, there's a perfect one there on the session. Scraping, soil testing, okay? Soil is a noun. Testing is a verb. And so you could say testing, set aside soil, and then you can even say it's like the same kind of testing as testing the soil, and yet you've gotten the action of testing, but you stayed away from the noun.
Yes.
And so never assume that a noun is wrong. Just never assume that it's right either. It's just a noun. And a noun is just, it's the thorn that leads you into the briar patch.
That's good.
Sorry, I was just seeing there might be any photos of construction, and I'll stop. Since you two guys were talking, I just kind of wandered off in my head. Okay, I'm back.
All right. Welcome back.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Yeah, stone piling. There's another perfect one. Soil enriching, okay. Piling, stray cat, like piling stones. You get the perception, but you train your conscious mind. Don't jump to conclusions.
Yes.
And over a long period of time and many sessions, your conscious mind learns to listen to the subconscious without analyzing too much. So it's all a training process.
Yeah, a tug of war. Yes.
Yeah. And listen, the conscious mind wants to be in control of that session, but it can't view. only the subconscious can view. And, you know, the viewer has to be in charge of the session, and that means the subconscious mind.
Just so Michelle in intermediate, there's quality controlling, you know, so that's, you know, concepts and stuff. You have a whole column to play with that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have Jed, unless I doubt that Aveline sneaked in from the UK, and just making sure. And that just leaves us with Jed's session. And I have two from Jed. I'm going to pull one up, and I know you sent me another one. So, you know, if you sent a revised something and I don't have it, tell me quick. I'm okay with that, and we'll find the right one.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. I remember you sent me a session that said you had changed something or added something. So, but I can't remember what I was supposed to look for.
I wouldn't worry about it. It was a minor change on the summary header.
Okay.
It was just, I had just eliminated one word.
That's the header, because I'm looking at the session where I have pulled up on my header. What is he talking about? Okay, I got you. Okay, 18 pages, and let's see. COCA, none.
I did a P6, which I thought make you happy.
Yeah.
Because I haven't done those since I moved away or got done with the advanced class. So I am trying to start doing more P6.
Have you found of the different kinds of P6 and dowsing and what have you, anything that is a favorite or works for you best?
I haven't worked with dowsing as I have to revamp my dowsing. Other than that, the P6 that I did on this was a height line. And I think it's the tree. They're around. I drew someone swimming here because it was like someone digging through or swimming in through water or whatever. So I did that just to get that burnt out of my system. Now this is going to be funny. Paul Smith had that on his page about the bicycle accident. So I start working this, and I get Paul Smith bicycle accident. And I have no idea, but I quickly got away from that.
You must be one of them psychics too.
Well, this was after I saw him on Facebook. Saw his picture there, and I don't know if it was just burning in my yeah. But I eventually got away from that, and when you get to the summary, you go, why does the summary look more like probably like what the target is than what my screencasts were?
Oh, listen, that happens quite a bit. You'll have just a really pig slop session, and your summary will be accurate. And there are a lot of times when you'll have a beautiful session, everything in your session's accurate, but at the end, you start writing your summary, your conscious mind takes over and says, oh, I know what it is, and your summary is all garbage. And that happens more often than I would care to admit. It happens to me too.
Okay. I don't know if you're able to hear the traffic. I'm outside on my patio, my new patio, and I'm on a four-way stop.
Not really. We're good.
Okay, I got the mic facing the other way. You don't have me on picture here, do you?
No.
Okay.
Teresa?
Yeah. For everybody, you might want to explain P6 and timeline.
First, I would like to look at this purpose that he's cued himself with after his phase 3 sketch.
Very good.
Helping entertainment and exercise. And the people were helping the deer by feeding them, and I think they were probably entertained watching them, and there's exercise involved. Sounds like Marvin the Martian here someplace. I think I'm getting feedback off of Jed's mic. Yeah, Jed, I muted you just because it's, I think, reverb with me. So, oh great, my computer scan can start. Let's see, we are now in phase 4, move to assign target, describe the target, and we've got all kinds of colors and vertical, and then helpless creature. And Paul Smith's creeping back in again. And let's see, we've got acrobatics, cheerleading, and heroics.
For everybody, notice how he will get, go back up a page, would you? Okay. He will get like cheerleading. Okay, that shows that he got that as an impression, but then he puts cheerleading under it in parentheses, which shows that he's now cueing with the word cheerleading. And so when the analyst sees something in parentheses, they know that that's a cue, and that what follows it is a result of that cue. And so acrobats, okay, then parentheses, acrobats, and what follows that up until the next parentheses is supposed to be about the acrobats. And so putting it in parentheses like that tells an analyst where you are, what you're doing, and all that. It doesn't actually have any remote viewing value, except that it lets somebody know what the words mean.
Okay, where move command is move to assign target. What do you hear? Noisy, yelly, screaming, vertical, shape, happy, nostalgic, first, fist, sweaty, happy, and then we have a sketch coming through. Actually, I thought Jed was probably going to have a pretty bang-up session here because his handwriting is really bad, worse than, usually I don't have too much trouble with his handwriting, but he is really, I don't know how long he spent on this session, but he is really banging out those words.
That's good. Your subconscious mind can't spell, and it can't write very well. And so when the spelling and the handwriting go to pot, that's generally an analyst, where an analyst sits up and starts taking notice.
Getting a lot of yellow colors here. And move command, what do you see? We got yellow again, and here he's exploring climbing.
Just never eat the yellow snow, okay?
Oh, jeez. That's probably where he came up with that. You just fed it into the session. Way to go. It's all you. Trinker, what kind of tree is this? Well, so now we've got Paul hitting a tree. I can't make that word out.
Pine tree.
Pine tree. Thank you so much. Move to assign a describe target and describe the target's activity. Swiftness, orchestrated. For Jed, that word means conceptually organized. I can't make that out. Verticalness. A basketball gym player. Describe location. That looks like round. Court light. And so now we're going to explore Court Lake. Got vertical tall shaft, more orchestrated, organized again. He is really stuck on that basketball stuff. He's setting it aside. All right, now here's his P6. He's going to try and figure out how tall this is, or a size line.
You want to explain P6 and timelines to everybody?
Actually, I'd rather Jed would.
Am I unmuted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I found out when I was going through the advanced section, I did a really poor job on actually getting the actual number. So what I do instead now, I just go from ground level up to top. And whatever the top of the, and I should have wrote at that top where 5 is, that should have been where the top was. And I go along that line from ground level up to what would be the top of the structure or the top of the canopy, whichever it is, the landscape, and I just probe along that. So I'm not going from size. What I'm trying to do is the size line here should reflect what you see on your picture. And I know some people try to put actual numbers to that. I could do that, but in this case, I didn't. I could have sat back and put 10 feet, probe there, 20 feet, 50 feet. But I found out in the past that I could put something at 500 feet and be way off.
Yeah. The standard way of doing this is to, like if you're doing a vertical timeline, like put 0 at the bottom and then just you guesstimate. Oh, I know this is not 500 miles tall. I think it's maybe 10 feet tall or something like that. So your guesstimate would go up at the top. And then you start at the top, working down to the bottom, working up. And you go along and you feel something, let's say at point number 1. So you mark that with a 1. You come over to the side and you say 1. And then you tell what you felt and what you perceived at point number 1. Then you keep working your way up and all that. And generally that's the way it's done, where each of these points would be where you felt or perceived something. And like down here at the bottom, okay, I smell flowers. Number 2, I get scratchy brick light. Number 3, oh, it's like glassy, you can see through it. 4, and so on, all the way up to the top. But that's the standard way of doing the P6. But nothing wrong with this way either. So, okay. But generally, a P6, whether it's a timeline or a map or whatever, is an ideogram. And you create the ideogram, and then you feel along it to find out what's there. So generally, that's all a P6 is. But all P6s are ideograms.
Yeah. Are you able to hear me yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I get into the matrix here and start the probing below here, I start with the ground level and go up. Yeah, and but like I said, I did not put the height line with it. And you can see here, I'm going 1 second. I get dunking at ground level. So I'm not sure, dunking, diving down, it's a swimming. I guess it's a motion more, is the way I'm trying to describe it. I don't know how an analyst would have to, and a judge would be the one to best describe how that interfaces what's actually going on with the activity and those levels.
Right, and this is the perfect way to do it. As I was, trying to explain to everybody who didn't know what state 6 was, that 0.4 on the target is where you felt these things. 0.3 on the target is where you felt the things above it. 0.5 is where you felt the things that are labeled 0.5. So see how 4 is put in parentheses here? That means you're cueing with 0.4. What do you get there? You get these things. Then you cue with 0.5. What do you get there? You get whatever's there. So let me amend my statement. Most phase 6 tools are ideograms. They're just advanced ideograms, advanced forms of ideograms, and you can actually find tremendous amounts of detail using these ideograms. Just like Jed did here, and it's perfect.
I was trying to figure out what you were really measuring there.
It would be easy to assume it's a tree, but actually it can easily be where the deer are one, around the table and then the one up above it, or the one that's up in the air trying to, looks like it's moving its legs, it's kind of semi-jumping or it's
charging or frolicking or something.
Yeah. They're digging in the dirt, swimming motion, I guess, ducking down, dunking. A judge would have to be the one who would have the final word on that. So,
actually, the judge makes the judgment, and is, for operational purposes, then comes back and consults with the viewer, and the viewer has the final judge because the viewer is always in charge of the session.
Mm-hmm.
Other things I found at the site: sense of competition, heroics, and fun.
And they're competing, that's for sure, for food.
That's very good.
Thank you. I was glad to do a P6 because I know that I haven't been doing that, and I want to start doing more P6. And
yeah, it's very good to practice.
Yeah, and, I got away from that, and I need to, especially with
the P6 will also give you really good preparation for going into medical apps, remote.
That's a question. Now that I've finished advanced, and I know that should be a waiting time period between. Is there anything that would be of benefits within a year's time or something to progress, or should I just hang it advanced for a few years? I know I've talked to Teresa about that, and so
yeah. Well, actually, the time between basic and intermediate is a time when you should get basic totally under your belt to where it's absolutely second nature. You do it without even thinking and all that.
Yeah.
Then that's where you learn remote viewing. The rest of it, once you learn remote viewing, is just tools. And so you're learning new tools and how to use them so you can practice in between. But the truth is that after spending maybe a year to learn what's in the basic and making that second nature, you could probably take all the rest of the courses just bang, 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 one after the other. Because by then you know how to remote view. Now, if you have not spent that time in the basic training, after basic, and you haven't done the practicing and you haven't done the ideogram drills and those exercises and all, then you really don't know how to remote view yet. So then it's a good idea after each one of them to take at least a couple of months to learn the new stuff and practice it. And as you do, then you'll get into the remote viewing as second nature. So, how's that vague answer?
Well, and after I've been through the advanced, but what I began to realize is after I got done with the advanced, I kind of fell back into an intermediate mode. I'm almost having to go back and start using these P6 tools one by one to get them more ingrained, so they become more. And that I'm finding out to truly get them ingrained, even though you learn them during the advanced class, takes I think a few months to longer time period for each one of those.
Right.
To get them so.
Yeah. You probably don't remember that I tried to tell you to learn them. Get familiar with them one at a time, and don't use 2 or 3 in the same session, and work on them individually.
One of the things that, well, it's very normal that a person will fall back to the intermediate stage and not use the P6 tools, mainly because, first of all, on a practice target, it takes some really creative thinking of, oh, this is big. Oh, how big is it? And so you use the P6 tool. And so you don't tend to ask yourself these questions. And, I get, oh, there's a person at the target. This person is rich. Oh, how rich is he? And that's where you use your timeline or your tools or something like that. Another thing that I generally recommend that people do is after the intermediate course, get busy doing actual, getting yourself into operations, because the operations will have those questions built into them. The real world wants to know how much, how many, how often, how few, things like that. And that's where you really get the practice in your stage 6 tools. And if you don't have that, then find yourself a buddy, a viewing buddy, who's going to select targets for you that all have measurements and so on. On the targets of the week, I generally have a map, and it says, find the target on the map. And that gives you the sectoring, the vectoring, the hotspot, the ruler method for the dowsing and all that. So it allows you to practice at least 4 of your phase 6 tools every week. So, yeah, the thing is, on the phase 6 tools, if you're just doing practice sessions, there's rarely ever an impetus to use those tools.
Yeah, I found that out. You almost have to make a commitment to use those. And I think you made a mention to that a couple of months ago when I finished, or sometime when I was finishing advanced, that was maybe last fall or last winter, that not to completely put them away, because they will almost, a person will quit using them. It's almost like you have to reteach yourself to start using them. And then you find out there's a lot of fine tuning to each one of those. And that's what I'm finding out.
Yeah. Especially in the phase 6 tools, use it or lose it becomes a very real, it has real meaning to it.
So I'm going to keep right now, even though I don't have as much self-confidence in the phase 6 tools, I'm going to try and incorporate each session that I do from now on with a phase 6, even if I feel as though I don't have the confidence, I'm going to still try and do it so I can learn from it at least. Yeah. I'm glad you brought out about the height line, because I was really nervous about putting numbers in there, actual height numbers.
Yeah, well, putting actual height numbers in there might not be a good idea. Well, that's not the way it's generally done. Generally, those numbers tell what you felt at that point, but I know what you mean. And generally you do that on a timeline by just getting a ballpark guess. Oh, I think this is 10 feet high. And then you look for the top, and the top may be way off the top of the line. Then you go back and do another timeline and say, okay, well, let's try 20 feet, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you're just doing practice sessions, one of the good ways to start getting into the habit of using the basics tools is almost every time you have a dimensional, okay? Big, oh, how big is it? Small, oh, how small is it? Even there are a bunch of people. Oh, how many people? You know, or you're hearing children noises. Oh, how many children? And such as that. And that gives you a good opportunity to actually use those phase 6 tools.
Lynn, just for the heck of interjecting, would a caveat of that be to make sure you have good site contact, you've had your AI and you're through phase 3 and you're in stage 4? What I'm getting at is if you get dimensionals in phase 2, is that the time to use a P6 tool?
We generally don't tell people this until they're in advanced or even beyond, but yeah, why not? And in fact, the P6 tool will draw you further into the target. Many times you'll say, oh, how tall is it? And you start doing a timeline and you find that as you get to the top of the line, you actually feel like you're looking up at it. There's your AI, okay?
Yeah.
And so many times using a phase 6 tool in phase 2 can actually get you to the target.
Be careful, my students. I do not want to see you like veering off in your 1, 2, 3s like continually, okay? You make sure you get your structure down first.
That's right. This is why we don't usually introduce that fact until after you've had phase 6.
Yeah, well, I was kind of expecting you to fall in lockstep there and say, no, wait till you get in phase 4 before you do that. But anyway, okay.
Yeah, no, the fact is, though, that the subconscious is in charge of the target. And if it wants to go to phase 6, hey, don't fight it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of not fighting, it is 10:30, and I think I am going to need to wrap this up. We've been going at it for 2.5 hours.
Thank you very much, Teresa. It's been great this time. Thank you.
Yeah, we had some really great sessions. Lots of different viewers, different approaches, and I was happy that, oh, we never went over Travis's. Doggone it. And did I close that? I think I did. Travis had sent in his sketch. Let me get it real quick so these guys can see. Just a second. Oh, everything is in here. I forgot. Okay, Travis has been with us, I think this is his 3rd session maybe, and he gets a lot of subconscious information through dreams. And he just sent this in right before I came on tonight, and I emailed him back that I had it, and he apologized for sending it late. But he's trying to work with some structure. I gave him some. He's been drawing sketches, and I taught him in an email about labeling with them 1, 2, and 3 and trying to get some perceptions from them. So he's trying. I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but he has an A1, A2, and A3, and he's got perceptions with each of that. He's got flow, movement, output, watery, swill, input, tall, pressure, headdress, and then down here, that's on these 2 up here, water, AOLs of waterfall, river. I tried in an email to explain right and left side of the page and AOLs and conscious mind and labeling. There's a heavy structure, and let's see, coiled spin, looks like hard something, copper, blue-gray, something C1, C2. We've got all these little humps here. Dam, water, energy, power. Stray cat of a ship. See, he's writing stray cats. And moving target. So anyway, Lynn, just for everybody, and if Travis happens to be listening to this, he's listening at 2.5 hours at this point. Do you have anything you'd like to add with his trying to learn CRV to help improve what he understands and interprets from his dreams, and maybe start getting information in a different way from his subconscious?
Well, if he wants to learn the CRV and the structure, on Paul Smith's website, you can download the Army manual.
Yeah.
But that will only that will only teach you the structure. It won't really teach you remote viewing.
Yeah.
But it'll teach you a structure to put your impressions in. And but I mean, as it goes, if I remember his work, he's got contact.
Yeah, he's getting sight contact, and
so really what you need now is the reporting,
right,
which is in the structure.
Right.
A structured way of reporting what you get.
So he's made progress even in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He's learning some terminology and how to touch his sketches and get some information and try and report it in a way that makes sense to somebody else as well as himself. So anyway, he's learning. He's changed already. So
just remember though that the Army manual was not what we learned remote viewing from. It was created to hand out to senators and senators' aides so that they would feel like they knew what was going on. And it will teach you the structure. It will not teach you the remote view, really. But it's a good manual to have, and it goes over the military structure and will really teach you how to report the perceptions that you get in a way that is standardized. Everybody's going to understand it, and everybody will know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and there we go again. You know, I can't do this. Miss Aveline's going to listen in. And she sent in a session. So if you guys need to go, I guess I'll be here by myself. But here is Aveline, and she just earned her basic certificate. She's a self-taught. And so now she's just learning to report in a standardized method. And here's her summary. Target fields large outside open locations, elements of man-made biological land, vegetation, and unknown. Overall targets are bright blue, greens, browns, and orange. Voices can be heard. Targets bright with medium contrasted surroundings. Overall target temperature is cold. Man-made structure is overall solid and blocky, going to a point, and is high and above land. There are hard and soft areas to the structure. It has steep slopes, steps, and striated dimensions to it. There are also areas of the man-made that are horizontal, flat, and smooth. Overall, the man-made has a rock-like appearance, having an uneven surface and being broken pieces. Some areas of the man-made are loose, feel crumbly and granular, dusty, and disintegrated. Other parts of the man-made seem to be crumbling, falling in a downward motion. Structure is open, old, and appears destroyed and derelict. Overall colors of the structure are gray, brown, green, cream, and orange with marbled effect. Tastes stony, salty, and mud-like. It's bright. Overhanging, jutting, protruding area that seems to have constructed and rebuilt is mesh, strong, and secure in this area are biologicals. So I think all of that was describing the picnic table. But I've not spent a lot of time thinking about what I just said. Biologicals seem to be a mix of young and old, male and female. There are many grouped together, and they seem to be looking out from the man-made, appear to be a mixture of happy and nervous. The land, which is distant, flat, and open, but also demarcated demarcated, sectioned, partitioned, separated, and feels foreign to me. Land appears green with lush vegetation, which is dense, overall a green, lime green, grass green, and dark green. Unknown, which appears to be a thick liquid that feels hot and appears to be snaking, moving in slow motion and is meandering. Colors are brown, beige, blue, silver, and orange with bright and glowing elements. Smoky and sulfur smells here. And several stray cats and I clarified with her when I was curious as to whether or not she's reporting her stray cats with quotation marks, because normally we consider those, anything that comes in and is written in a quotation mark is a P7 coming straight from the signal line. And so, yes, those are P7s, and because not all of her stray cats or AOLs are in quotation marks. So I wanted to get her feel for that. And I sort of...
A P7 is a form of stray cat anyway.
Thank you. And look at her AI. It's below me, pleasant. This place is beautiful. And its purpose is trade, living, city, and historic. And she usually puts in some good sketches. And what she does is she has a detailed sketch, and then we have one here in, let's see, I'm looking for two. It's around there someplace. Here's 4, there's 2, and there's 3. Oh, there's 5 down there. 6, 7. Okay, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then she comes down here, and she's touching, for you sort of newer folks, she's touching those areas and then coming down here and writing the perception that goes with that numbered area. And here's an example. We didn't really talk about breaks, but she took a break and then wrote the time and then resumed. And this is her only sketch this time, other than the other one up top. So she feels confused. It's an AI. I feel confused because it has changed from man-made to natural. And so that, I'm sorry, is the last session. So it is now 10:45. And I think I probably need to wrap this up and thank everybody for coming. And Jason is thanking us, and hopefully he's going to try and be back again. Pat, thanks for coming. I know it's an ungodly hour over there in the UK. So thanks, Lynn, for all your help. Without your dropping in to help us learn, we wouldn't be half as far along as we are.
You're doing great, and you could have done all this yourself. For those who don't know, Teresa's a pretty good remote viewer herself, not too shabby at all, and knows this stuff really well.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Thank you for doing these.
You're welcome. So with that, I think you all made your way here today, so you know how to register. They're every 2 weeks, and come back and join us anytime. Even if you don't work the target, you can come listen and learn, okay? And with that, good night, John Boy.
Good night, Sarah May.
See you in a couple weeks. And I'm sure I'll talk to you sooner. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.